All right, guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be doing a very simple bumper blend on this Bentley. So I'm going to show you the damage and what we're dealing with, and then we'll get going on the process. All right, a few close-ups of the damage. Here's the Bentley. It's the front right corner bumper. Hit the curb, and this is what we're going to be repairing today. All right, to get started, we're going to be using 180 grit. So you get that. So 180 grit. My DeWalt sander. I use the sticky instead of the hook and loop. These are much less expensive. The hook and loop, they do last longer, so it's kind of like, you know, whatever your preference is. But I like these. They're cheaper and they work great. So we're going to be sanding out the scratches with the 180 grit sandpaper. And it looks to me like they should all come out. If not, we might do a little bit of fill repair. All right, here we go with the 180 grit sandpaper. Okay, so it all came out really nice. As soon as I sanded into it, I could tell that it had been painted before. And so when I could tell that, I immediately made sure that I didn't put too much pressure. So if you see it that a bumper's been painted before, you just want to be a little bit more gentle with how you sand, because it can create more problems and kind of create those what do you call it? Kind of crevices that really dig into it too much and makes it hard, so you can kind of see the repair and the edges of where you repaired if you dig into it too much. You just got to be really gentle if you notice it's been painted before. All right, on to the 320 grit. All right, just taking off the 180 and moving on to 320 grit. And so with this, we're going to feather out probably like a couple inches around the edges, feathering out the 180 grit sandpaper scuffs, and that's going to feather it out so that we can get rid of those 180 grit marks, and then we'll scuff and prime after that. All right, here we go with the 320 grit. All right, that came out really nice, so we're gonna move on to our superfine scuff pads to feather out the 320. All right, so this is the 320 grit scuffing pad. I cut it in half. So, because that's all you really need. Here's what the box looks like. It's 3M. And I use these. I've found some cheaper ones. I don't know if I think it might have been Norton or something. But these are, the firmness of them just make them really easy to work with. Like the sandpaper, I get the Norton because it doesn't seem to make a difference. I'm not going to pay more for the 3M. But for these, I just ended up paying more because they're just much easier to work with. So really like these. So we're going to feather out the 320 grit with the superfine scuff pad. All right, a couple shots of what it should look like after you 320 and before you feather it out with the superfine scuff pads. All right, on to feathering out the 320 with the superfine scuff pads. All right, it's feeling really good. One trick with scuffing is you're always kind of using a basic X pattern. So you're going one direction like that. So you're kind of making an X pattern as you go around, as you're feathering out. And that just really helps the pattern, helps it just feather out more and it have a nice smooth finish. So now that we've done that, we're ready for the primer. All right, a few shots of what it should look like after you feather out the 320 with the Superfine. All right, we're ready for primer. Obviously it's a black color, so we're gonna be using the black primer. And right now I'm using Speedo Coat primers, and I really love these. They work out really good. So we're just gonna do a nice coat of primer, let it dry before we scuff it down. All right, when you're applying the primer, you just wanna keep the can always moving. So you don't wanna be at a still position while you're depressing it, and or else it could just go on uneven or even run. So here we go with the primer. All right, that looks like it's pretty good. We'll let that dry before we scuff it down. And while that's drying, I'm gonna look up the color code. All right, so usually the color code is in here. All right, so there it is. I don't know if you can see it with the reflection. So LO41 is the code. All right, the primer's all dry, and we're gonna scuff down the primer and feather it out with the Superfine scuff pad. All right, it's all scuffed and feathered out. So now what I'm gonna do is go over that same area and then with the ultra fine, and then all the way to where I'm gonna do the blend with the ultra fine. All right, so I'm gonna move on to ultra fine. So I'm gonna feather out a little bit, the super fine scuff feathering out, and then we're gonna go all the way to where we're gonna end our blend with this. All right, here we go with the ultra fine. All right, all finished up with the ultrafine. Now we're going to use the wax and grease remover, clean it up, and then get ready to spray the paint. All right, here's what I'm using right now. I don't even know, Exalta. It works great. It's what they're selling at Finish Master right now. The other stuff I use, the Prep Ball, got discontinued in California. So this is working fine. So we're gonna clean the entire area a little bit past where I'm gonna blend with this, and then we'll be good to start applying the paint. All right, here we go with the wax and grease remover. All right, we're all good with that. On to the paint. All right, it's time to mix paint. This is where I do it right here, and I'll give you my view of my paint system setup and the scale and how I mix the paint. All right, here's a few pictures of my paint mixing setup. Top is my metallics and my pearls here, and then below that is the solids and a few pearls. And then my scale, as you can see there, the Scout Pro, which is a really durable, reliable scale. All right, here we are. Here's where we mix the paint. This is my scale right here. So I'm turning it on, getting my PPS system ready. So this is a 3-ounce liner where the paint goes in. Here's the lid that goes on top, and so liner goes in here. Zero it out. And you can either mix in ounces or grams. I'm going to mix in ounces right now because it's a smaller blend, so I'm not going to need that much paint. I forgot to look up the code, so I'm going to look up the paint code right now, the LO41 that we found in the trunk of the Bentley, and we're going to look that up, and then we're going to mix that formula. All right, I got my code all looked up, and the toners and the measurements right here. Usually I just do it with my phone, but since I need my phone for filming, I just wrote them down, and this is an easy one to write down. Black, there's just 3 toners. So we'll get going on that. And zero it out again, just to be careful. So the first toner is T407, and this is the EnviroBase, PPG EnviroBase system. And these containers work really well. I just pour off, so I'm not carrying a ton of paint that I don't need. And so these little containers work really well. Little ketchup bottles, we call them. All right, so the first measurement is 407. I want 43.25. next toner is 409 at 5245. And the last toner is 422. All right, we're all good. If you can see that. So we're just going to mix that up real good, and then we'll get to spraying. All right, we're going to mix it up now. I'm just putting in a little bit of this. To thin it out so it goes through the gun well. Mix it up really good. All right, now we're going to start applying the paint. All right, that looks good. I'm gonna mix up the clear, and then we're gonna clear coat it. All right, now we're gonna be mixing the clear coat, and it's a 3-to-1 ratio. So I'm just gonna mix a 1 on the 3-to-1 ratio section. I'm using Speedo Coat, the Glamour Clear, which has a very nice finish, and it dries extremely fast, so it's great for mobile guys like us that paint outside. So let's get to mixing. And I'm using just a little bit of medium reducer, Speedo Coat medium reducer. Put it in the PPS system. And we're ready to go. I cleaned my gun out already. And I don't know if I already said it, but one of the reasons I use this is because I go to customers' houses, and they have, most of them are extremely nice properties and very nice driveways, so I don't want any danger of spillage or anything getting on their property or on their driveway. So I use these because a lot of times I'm doing bumpers and you have to get underneath, and I don't want any drippage or anything. So this keeps it nice and tight, and I can get underneath and go even fully upside down if I need to, without worrying about anything dripping. So that's why one of the main reasons I use these. They're really convenient and they're really nice as well. They keep things much cleaner. You're not cleaning the whole bowl as well. But I wouldn't do it just for convenience, but because I do a lot of customers like that, that's the main reason I use the PPS system. All right, so let's get to clearing. All right, we're ready to do the clear coat, and this is a blend. So I'll show you, I'll try to get a good picture of the blend line before I blend it, so that you can kind of see the before and after of the blend line. So here we go. All right, that turned out really nice. It's nice and glassy. So I'm gonna do one more coat of that, and then we'll blend it. All right, a couple pictures of where I ended my first pass of clear coat. My second pass will go just a couple inches past that, where I'll use the blender to burn in that edge. All right, second coat is all good. So now I'm going to use the Speedo Coat blender, and this stuff works great. It keeps it nice and glassy, and it burns that edge. So we're going to do that right now. I'm going to use the heat gun, not too close. Just want to be able to put this on nice and thick and glossy, and then have this ready so it doesn't run at all. So here we go. All right, it looks great. I'll get you some close-ups. All right, here we are, all done. There's the blend line. Disappeared really good. We got nice glossy finish. So this customer should be very happy. It's all done. So working on this took a total of a little under an hour and a half. So this is a real easy, quick fix. And it's what kind of the bread and butter of what you want to be doing all day long. So until next time, catch you guys later. All right, we're all done here. Thanks for watching. If you have scratches on your car that needs repaired, you can go to greenreconditioning.com. If you'd like to learn how to do this as a career or just as a hobby, you can go to greenrecontraining.com. That's greenrecontraining.com for resources. We have an ebook that has the steps that makes it easy to follow along with what we're doing here. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you later.